Video game movies are hit and miss. You either get Super Mario Brothers or you get the Super Mario Brothers. It seems like the more faithful the film is to the source, the better it will do. So how does Borderlands stack up? Grab your popcorn? Let's find out. Like in the video game, the plot centers around a group of vault hunters, basically treasure hunters, looking for a legendary vault on an alien planet called Pandora. That's rumored to be full of ancient alien technology. The difference between the game and the movie is that it's way more straightforward in the game. The main characters are looking for the vault, and the bad guys are either rivals or roadblocks. Here it's more convoluted. Rather than being straight-up treasure hunters, the main characters have more altruistic reasons for finding it. Here's what the film does right. The movie sticks closely to the game in most respects. Pandora looks and feels pretty much the same as in the game. From the gritty alien environment filled with ruins and garbage left behind by the various corporations that previously mined the resource-rich planet, to the human scavengers and killers left behind after those companies left, to the native alien creatures that call Pandora home. And the main characters are all from the game as well. Lilith, Roland, Claptrap, and Tannis are characters from the first Borderlands game, while Krieg and Tiny Tina are from Borderlands 2. Each one is fairly close to their in-game counterparts, with the biggest exception being Lilith, who in the game is a siren, a woman with alien powers such as invisibility and shock blasts, while in the movie she's a gun-toting bounty hunter more reminiscent of a female Clint Eastwood. And like in the first game, the bad guys here are the Atlas Corporation and their private army, the Crimson Lance, who are also searching for the vault. They're the biggest power on Pandora and will stop at nothing to get the alien tech inside. In the movie, the main baddie is Atlas, the namesake of the company, and his underling, Commander Knox, who runs the Crimson Lance. In the game, the main villain is Commander Steele, basically the same character as Knox, who's in charge of the Crimson Lance and is the one to beat. As far as the characters go, the highlight is easily Claptrap, the robot voiced by Jack Black. He's about the closest to the video game out of all of them, and pretty much everything he says and does is actually pretty funny. He easily got the most laughs from the mostly empty theater I was in. There are tons of Easter eggs as well, from the characters like Marcus and Moxie, who feature heavily in the games as NPCs, to the locations and in-game companies and weapons that feature throughout. So that was cool to see. But it leads me to what didn't work. The plot is way more convoluted than the first game, which is pretty much a straight-up find the vault before Atlas does and kill as many bad guys as you can in the process. Here there's an added layer to the whole thing in that Atlas hires Lilith to find his daughter, Tiny Tina, supposedly because he loves her, but in reality because he needs her to find and open the vault. And Lilith is not a vault hunter at all, but a bounty hunter born on Pandora who hates to be back on her home planet. Likewise, the other main characters are less interested in finding the vault for the prize inside, as they are to do so in order to protect Tina from Atlas. For some reason, the logic here is that getting to the vault first will somehow prevent Atlas from getting into the vault as well, even though opening it will enable him to do exactly that. But because nobody knows what's actually inside the vault, it's not clear why they think getting inside it will help them beat Atlas in any way at all. But that's all a moot point because we know that the bad guy will get inside sooner or later, especially if they open it for him. And it's made all the more complex when it's revealed that opening the vault might kill Tina in the process. Which only begs the question, if the goal is to save Tina, why not just ferry her off the planet, which will both prevent Atlas from opening the vault and risking her life to do so? That's one of this film's big problems. Things happen because the plot needs them to, and not because they make any actual sense. Another example is when Lilith recounts leaving Pandora as a child in the middle of an evacuation from a raider attack on her settlement. Her mother hands her over to a young Tannis sitting in a mostly empty shuttle, and then stands back to watch them take off as she tearfully waves goodbye. Why doesn't she get into the shuttle with them? There's literally no reason for her to just stand there and walk away. But the plot needs Lilith to be an orphan, and so the mother becomes an idiot at a crucial moment. There are other examples of this, where the characters go from location to location in an episodic way, learn some conveniently valuable info, and then move on to the next place because the plot needs them to, and not because of any organic reason or motivation. Which brings us nicely to the characters and dialogue. Both are pretty flat. Lilith and Tannis, played by Cate Blanchett and Jamie Lee Curtis respectively, are so one-dimensional it's painful. They're great actresses, but the majority of their dialogue seems expositional and on the nose. There's one particular conversation that they have that was a chore to get through, and both of them seemed bored delivering their lines. Because of it, they both seem ill-suited to their roles, but I think it's less bad casting as it is bad writing and direction. And the main villain, Atlas, played by Edgar Ramirez, is utterly generic and predictable. No depth whatsoever to his character, and his motivation is simple greed. He's ultra wealthy and powerful and wants to get inside the vault to be even more wealthy and powerful. That's fine for a pop bubblegum first-person shooter video game, but even there the main villain, Handsome Jack, who doesn't appear in this film, has tons more depth and layers to him. It wouldn't have hurt to have a villain with whom we can sympathize or empathize, or at least find complex in some way so as to make him even marginally interesting. Even bad video game movies will sometimes have great villains. Street Fighter, anyone?
For me, it was Tuesday.
M. Bison is the single best thing about that clunker, and had they given us someone more like that, it could have been a highlight here instead of a huge downer. Thankfully, there is enough humor from Kevin Hart and Jack Black to keep things moving, but funny will only get you so far. It would have been nice to see some actual growth in the characters beyond a predictable softening of the main characters toward the kid in their charge. And there should have been as much care put into the dialogue as there was into the scenery. Video game dialogue can be on the nose or clunky, and we'll forgive it if the gameplay is fun enough, but games like Red Dead Redemption and Fallout prove that dialogue can be great as well. The Borderlands games are a mixed bag when it comes to what the characters have to say, but there are times when you genuinely feel for the characters in them. I wish there had been more of that here. Maybe the problem is that it feels like what should have been an R-rated movie got shoehorned into a PG-13 rating. The action and dialogue that could have had some bite, unfortunately had none. And it shows. I will say I went to see this movie with people who had never played the games, so I was the only one who had that frame of reference. They all told me they enjoyed the film. They didn't think it was the best, but they didn't hate it either. They all thought it was around a 5 or a 6 out of 10, and better than some of them expected. So take that for what you will. As for someone who's played all of the Borderlands games and loves them, I'd be leaning more towards that 5 than a 6. Borderlands is a movie full of potential, and a great look that captures the game aesthetic well, but it never reaches the level of the games in terms of character likability, dialogue, or storytelling. And that's a shame. But these are just my 2 cents. Give me yours. Let me know in the comments below if you've seen Borderlands or if you plan to. I'd love to hear what you think of it. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell to stay updated with the latest content. Until next time, stay creative.